On May 2nd, at the MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada, the biggest fight in a generation will take place when Floyd Mayweather Jr. takes on Manny Pacquiao for the unified WBA, WBC, WBO, and the Ring Magazine welterweight titles. This is a fight that many in the boxing world and the larger sporting world had concerns that it would never happen. And they were right, it almost didn't, but it's now official. So the question is, how did we get here? Well, for starters, super fights are hard to make. There's a reason why they're rare. But in this particular case, they had to move heaven and earth to make this happen. And the reason why is because at this point in time, more or less, the boxing world is kind of divided into two. On one hand, you have Top Rank and HBO. And on the other hand, you have Showtime and Golden Boy. And these two sides of the world hate each other. They compete against each other. They want nothing but the other side to suffer defeat, except for this one day. They're going to come together for mutual benefit and for the sport of boxing. But let's travel back in time to understand historically where all this came from and where we're headed. Let's go back to 2009. At this point, Floyd Mayweather is actually out of retirement. He's 31, a perfect 40-0, and has just defeated the brilliant Juan Manuel Marquez. Manny Pacquiao, meanwhile, is absolutely surging through the sport. Age 30, a record of 53-2. By November of 2009, he defeats Miguel Cotto in a blistering, brutal 12-round drubbing. It officially makes him, by the way, the first boxer ever to hold 7 divisional titles. More importantly, understand what's happened here. Both Mayweather and Pacquiao have also beaten Ricky Hatton and the Golden Boy, Oscar De La Hoya. Speculation was running rampant, and there was a belief that by March 2010, a fight between the two would happen. But the fact is, negotiations never really got off the ground. There's a lot of factors that explain that. Both sides take some measure of the blame, but if we're really isolating the key reason, it's because Pacquiao's side did not agree to Olympic-style drug testing. Boxing is regulated at the state level by the State Athletic Commission. To put it bluntly, their level of drug testing is poor. For Mayweather to ask for an enhanced version of it is in no way out of bounds, but for Pacquiao to resist it, that looks bad. And keep in mind, maybe Mayweather had cause for suspicion. Manny Pacquiao is the first fighter ever to win 8 different weight class titles, from 112 pounds all the way up to 150. Look, moving up weight classes is not evidence of PED use, and to that fact, Manny Pacquiao has never failed a drug test, but it is highly unusual. If you can believe it, there were actually several attempts to get things going again, not just in 2010, but 2011, 12, 13, and ultimately into 14. And everything and anything you can imagine happened in between. Pacquiao tried to sue Mayweather for defamation. Mayweather put out a racist video on Ustream taunting Pacquiao. Pacquiao then agreed to have Olympic-style drug testing for the fight. Mayweather's side had denied that latter-stage negotiations with Pacquiao had even taken place. Pacquiao eventually challenged Mayweather to a fight for charity. Everyone looks bad at this point. But by 2014, everything changed. Both fighters have either faced or defeated everyone there is to fight. There's no one they can possibly fight at this point except the other guy. It's December of 2014, and out of nowhere, Floyd Mayweather shows up on a Showtime broadcast. And he gets on TV and he says, I want to fight Manny Pacquiao. Let's make it happen for the fans on May 2nd. The first weekend in May in boxing is like Holy Week. It's the most important weekend you can fight on. That's where they wanted to compete. That's where Mayweather likes to fight. But in order to get that done and to meet that deadline, they had to get that negotiation finished. It just so happened that Mayweather and Pacquiao happened to be attending the same basketball game between the Miami Heat and the Milwaukee Bucks. They bumped into each other, and from there they exchanged phone numbers. Later on that evening, they met at a hotel and hammered out virtually all of the remaining details. Less than a month later, HBO, Showtime, Team Mayweather, Team Pacquiao announced the fight was on. This is more than just a big fight. This is a commercial tsunami that is literally unprecedented in the history of combat sports. Let's just look at some of the numbers. Ready? The live gate for this, that means the money they're making off ticket sales, $74 million. That's $14 million more than the last Super Bowl, which was held in a stadium. There are expectations that the pay-per-view buy rate record set by De La Hoya versus Mayweather at 2.5 million will be absolutely crushed here. 3 million seems conservative, 4 million seems possible. By the way, that's going to be done on the back of a $100 pay-per-view price, also something that you've never seen in the history of boxing. Mayweather and Pacquiao are going to have a 60-40 guaranteed purse split. Mayweather's getting 120 million to Pacquiao's 80 million. That doesn't include things like pay-per-view points after the fact, merchandise, concession sales. You can't buy a hot dog at a Mayweather fight without him getting a cut. This shatters the previous boxing record of guaranteed purses set by Mayweather of $40 million. In fact, it brings his total career earnings to a whopping $500 million. There's nothing like this in the history of combative athletics, not by a little bit or by degrees, by several orders of magnitude. But this is more than a cash grab. There are actually hugely consequential stakes to this fight. Now, critics will tell you that these two guys are old, that this fight should have been made in 2009 or 2010. And in a sense, they're right. But that argument misses an essential point to understanding what's happening here. So if Mayweather defeats Manny Pacquiao, there's no one left. He's done it. He is the best fighter of this generation. But for Manny Pacquiao, he has an opportunity here. He is a ridiculously important fighter in the history of boxing. And if he can beat Floyd Mayweather on May 2nd, he can change all the narratives surrounding Floyd's inevitability. And if he can get a rematch, all bets are off. So no, this fight's not right on time. But here's the good news. It's also not too late. May 2nd, Mayweather versus Pacquiao, the fight of the century is here.